Hi, all right, so today I'm making a little skillet on the stove top, and I'm making it with turkey and a lot of spices, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of different ways that you can cook this particular recipe using the same basic technique for every way of doing it. I'll post in some slides in between here and give you the directions for interchanging different things. Okay, so here I'm just chopping up and prepping some garlic. I've given you a list just before switching to this screen that you can interchange a whole bunch of different ingredients with what I've used in this video. In this video, I'm going to use garlic, ginger, onions, and then I use basil, pepper, oregano, and salt. So actually for me, that's kind of a lot of seasonings. I usually go a little bit lighter on the quantity of seasonings, but I thought I would throw in a few extra today just because I was bored. All right, here I'm just chopping up the garlic really quick. I use a really tight knife technique. You can see my thumb and then the forefinger. That's really good for control when you're doing small chopping like this. I'm not chopping it into tiny cubes. I'm slicing it and then crushing it with the edge of my knife to save myself a minute or so on the garlic cutting. So that's a nice technique when you're in a hurry. And then I go from the garlic and I'm going to peel the ginger. That takes me a few minutes. But it's pretty easy to peel fresh ginger, so I actually like to add it to a lot of stuff. You can actually add fresh grated ginger to the skillet after you're done cooking, and you'll get more of the benefits. You can do that with garlic too, but I personally like the flavor of the fresh ginger a lot. So I do that regularly. I'll take it in instead of chopping it. All right, so here I'm just cutting up the onion, peeling. I trimmed off the ends, and now I'll go and cut it in half. This is my way of saving time and peeling. It allows me to get my thumb under the thicker layer underneath the skin, and I try to show you here that that's where I'm pulling, is that second layer, not the first, because the papery skin isn't the only layer I want to remove. The inside layer just under that is also usually pretty tough, and then I don't chop it very small. Again, I'm always trying to save time. I want this to take me under 30 minutes. It's usually my goal. I think this one took about 25, partially just because I was fiddling with a camera. All right, so here I have my avocado oil over by my stove and my coconut oil. I just wanted to show you that you can use either one of those. They'll work equally well. The avocado, you can bring it up to 500 degrees. The coconut, I'd stay at a slightly lower temperature, but not substantially. I like the neutral flavor here of the avocado oil because I'm throwing in these onions and garlic and ginger, and I really want that to come out, and I feel it does better with avocado. So I'm going to break up the chunks of onion there and turn my heat up pretty high. I just want to cook it for about 5 minutes to caramelize the onions, garlic, and ginger together and get a better flavor profile. So the heat is really fundamental. I have a little bit of difficulty getting my stuff to cook, so I have to turn my heat up really high. If you have a gas stove, you might not need to turn it up very high. I would start with medium on a gas stove for 5 minutes and take a look after. So here I'm just using about a pound of turkey. It always comes about 93% lean. All right, so here I started some sweet potatoes really quickly on the other burner. You could put these in the skillet if you wanted, but I chose not to because I typically feed the rest of the family rice and beans. I give them sweet potatoes sometimes, but the rice and beans are just more cost effective. You can see my spices lined up along the side. I've got the basil, the pepper, and some oregano. I must have forgotten earlier about the oregano, and then the salt over there. I'm not measuring, but anywhere around a teaspoon of basil would be great. A teaspoon of oregano would be great. Pepper is really personal. I decided today I wanted it more spicy. My kids weren't keen on that, but they still ate it. They liked it pretty well. And the salt, for about a pound to a pound and a half of meat, you're going to need at least a teaspoon, if not a teaspoon and a half of salt. And you may need to still add some more. I chose to put Brussels sprouts in this today. That's just what I had on hand in the freezer. I'm just showing you here that I'm leaving them out on the counter, and I'm gonna let the turkey cook on its own for a little bit to let some of the water come out of the turkey before I throw the Brussels sprouts in. So you can also see that I've got the sweet potatoes here, and I'm just adding some salt and coconut oil to them. They typically do best on medium high, and don't be like me, cook them on medium and keep an eye on them. I'll show you later what happens. Okay, so here I'm adding in the Brussels sprouts, and I've let the turkey cook by itself for a couple of minutes just to get it started. And then I'm going to take and cover that up just to start them steaming and thawing faster. And then in a few minutes, I will uncover them and let them cook with the turkey uncovered to move more of the water out. All right, so here I'm just sauteing it with the lid off to get more water out and caramelize the turkey and the Brussels sprouts. You want to drive off some water, but later on I'm going to add in a little bit of arrowroot powder to allow the moisture to be drawn together with the turkey because it's kind of dry. And then in a second here, I'm going to show you the consequences of forgetting about your sweet potatoes on high. I tend to turn things up a little too high myself. And my boys got in a fight right after I put my sweet potatoes on. So there it is, burnt. So here I'm showing you again that Anthony's is what I use. It's just inexpensive arrowroot powder. And that's completely optional. You can make these skillets without them. And if there's another thickener you prefer to use or can use if you're not fully on AIP, go for it. I like it. It adds to the caramelization. Later on, you'll see I flip over the turkey and you can see that it's getting a nice caramel look to it. And I'll show you a picture in a minute of the end result. Mine doesn't look particularly pretty with the Brussels sprouts, but if you'd thrown the sweet potatoes in there, or carrots, or any number of veggies, it'll look a lot prettier.